Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell. And this week on the First Run, out there in First Run land, have you ever been watching a slasher film and wondered, how in the hell is Jason getting around? How is he sneaking up on people? Why is he just appearing out of everywhere? Well, somebody else had that same thought and decided to make a movie about it where we follow the slasher. So we're going to check out In a Violent Nature and see if it answers all of our questions about how guys who never go over a slow walk somehow manage to catch up with everybody. Then, as usual, we will have our big releases on physical media, the Viper video and streaming picks of the week. Then we'll wrap it all up with a throwback to the last gasp of New Orleans sports with another rendition of Who Dat, where we pretend to be somebody we're not and answer a question posed to that person. Does that sound fun, Chris? I think that sounds fun. So, let's get this started with a little bit of In a Violent Nature.
Good.
You guys never heard of the White Pine Slaughter?
The what?
The White Pine Slaughter.
Just tell us the story.
You guys really want to hear it?
Yeah.
Come on.
All right, buckle up.
All right, Matt. Oh wait, no wait, I have to do it, right?
Yeah,
do the
you
intro
have to
now.
do it. Yeah, you have to describe. So, Chris, why don't you tell us what In a Violent Nature is all about?
I think you pretty much nailed it in the opening. We have a killer named Johnny, Matt, who has a nice little supernatural angle to him, right? I guess years ago, he went on a murderous rampage after the death of his father, and the only thing to really calm him was to bury him in this little fire tower and put his mother's locket on his grave, basically. And some jackass goes ahead and sees this locket and picks it up, which then unleashes Johnny to wreak havoc and terror through the Ontario woods. So, killing everybody he comes across, or at least certainly trying to. So as Matt said, this is kind of like, well, let me put it this way, Matt. This is this year's, I think, Skinamarink, right? We're going to take an interesting concept and basically make an art house kind of horror film. We're going to try something different with everything that you've seen before. So, Matt, how did it work for you? Was it as successful as Skinamarink was for you? Because I know you loved that movie, and I was lukewarm on that film.
Right.
How does In a Violent Nature work for you?
Yeah, it's a clever premise, right? It's one that I'm glad that they took the risk to make. But what I quickly found out was that when you're following the slasher and you are basically keeping track of where he is at all times, it takes away a lot of the suspense of what's going to happen. So I will say there are some incredibly graphic kills with this. There are some very creative ones. One in particular that I thought was...
Does it involve yoga?
It does
Hillsides?
involve yoga, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was giggling to myself like a true sociopath because it was so ridiculous while it was happening. Yes. And, overall, it was pretty good. I had a pretty good time watching this, but it's devoid of really any real suspense. The acting by our victims is essentially terrible, and I don't know if that's a choice, if that's a true choice, or if they're just bad actors. And, like I said, the gore effects are good. And I think there is a point towards the end where the perspective shifts off of Johnny and it goes to, some of the people that he's going after. And then actually it does get very suspenseful because now you don't know where he is. You don't know what the hell's going on. You don't know if anything's going to happen. So I did appreciate that. Overall, I think it's an interesting experiment. I don't know if I loved it, but I generally enjoyed myself while I was watching this.
Yeah, I think that's I think I agree with you. I think that's a great encapsulation, at least, of my feelings as well. I think there's some interesting, fun things here. Like, I loved how the director, Chris Nash, also wrote it, plays with us. Like, is he going to reveal Johnny to us? Are we ever going to see his face, right? And there's a really fun thing where he's constantly messing with us. Are we not going to? Finally, it's like, all right, I've messed with you people enough. Here you go, right? Here's what he actually looks like. So I enjoyed that. I think part of my problem, Matt, is I blow things up entirely too much in my mind before I go in. Maybe I've just watched too many 70s and 80s Italian horror slasher kind of gore fests where like I'm reading that like someone got like physically ill in a screening of this film because of how intense and disturbing the gore was. And after I walk out, I'm like, really? I mean, there's a couple moments that I think are really intense. There's the most fun one, as Matt and I both agree, seems to be the yoga kill. I won't describe anything too much to you because I still want you to get the full experience if you watch, because this will be popping up on Shudder probably in a few weeks. But then there's another one with like a woodcutter that I think really is a missed opportunity. Now, I think it's like, is it Fulci's Demonia, where a guy gets caught in this kind of trap and he eventually gets ripped in half from like his legs. And I'm thinking, if you're going to use a woodcutter to slice through things, that's what you got to do, is you got to pull this guy up and then go straight down, right? I think that really would have been even more unsettling and disturbing for me than what we did get, which still, I think for the most part, the kills I think are interesting. It is appropriately gory and upsetting in that kind of thing at times, but I think I just built it up too much in my mind, is what I think it was. Conceptually, I like Matt, I like the idea of it. I love we're getting the viewpoints of the killer this time, which involves a lot of walking and a lot of following him walking. And some people had said it kind of felt like you were playing a video game, like you were playing a ripped off version of Friday the 13th. I didn't really feel that. It still felt pretty organic for me, but there are a lot of scenes of him walking. There are. I think it may have been a little more tense for me than it was for Matt at times. I think like when they take the photo, I'm dying for that to play out. You know, there's little things like that I think it's pretty successful. It's, if you're going in though for a typical slasher film where you just want to see the co-eds and everybody get picked off one by one and rather quick, succession, you're not going to get that here. Things are a little bit more drawn out because, we got to spend time with Johnny as he's just traipsing through the forest enjoying his day. So mostly successful. And from what I understand, Matt, this film was, I guess, a nightmare to make. There's a really interesting interview with Nash and a couple of the people else involved in the filming of the movie in the Daily Beast, and they basically said anything that could have gone wrong went wrong. It was quoted as like a Herzogian effort to get this thing made. They basically had to go with a whole new cast because they basically got washed out or a lot of problems with the first run, so they had to restart and reshoot stuff with a different cast, a different crew, and a lot less money. And they kept anything you can think of that went wrong. There's a scene with the trapper that at some point he's supposed to come back around, and there's supposed to be a dog that's gnawing away at his owner, the trapper, because he's been killed. But they couldn't get the dog to do anything. The dog refused to cooperate, and after like an hour, they just gave up. And there's just a lot of different things like that. So it was interesting reading the trials and tribulations that went into making this thing and the dedication by Nash to get this thing done, which I appreciate that. So good for him. And one thing too, Matt, I don't know if you noticed this, there's no score in the film.
Yeah, there is a marked lack of music in this. Now, there are a few, what they could buy on the super cheap. Maybe they got one of the Grips bands to record a few things for the soundtrack. It
right.
Sounds, vaguely appropriate. But other than that, yeah, there's really no music at all, which I think works pretty well in this instance.
Yeah,
I think the lack of a score is, a positive for this particular film.
Yeah, no, I agree. It helps kind of bring you into the atmosphere of the film and what they're trying to get across. So the acting itself, I'm probably not as hard on as Matt. I think that Andrea Pavlovic, who plays Chris, our final girl, if I may, I think she's probably the strongest of the bunch. And just like you said, though, when it really, the tenseness really does ratchet up once we're no longer following Johnny, unfortunately, and we're what's going to happen. I got to admit, the whole time I was waiting for some kind of Voorhees mother kind of moment there that may or may not have come, right? So overall, Matt, I'm going to give Violent Nature a B. In a Violent Nature.
You know what? We're, as usual, worlds apart because I'm going to give it a B as well. So I think, you know what? It's an interesting experiment. When this, if I'm assuming at some point it will come out on physical media, so I will buy it, when it gets to the right price point. I think it's something that I would like to have in my collection. I don't know if it'll ever be my favorite, but I think it'll be a fun thing to pop in every once in a while as an interesting experiment.
Yeah, part of me wonders too when I was watching it that I was kind of just getting involved or sucked into the exercise of the film and what they're trying to put across, and not so much maybe just sinking in and inhabiting the film, right? I'm more marveling at the craft of what they're trying to do with this different perspective and this different view. And I wonder, and I'm not sure I did this, but I feel like I did. Like I was appreciating, oh, that was an interesting decision. Oh, I like, instead of just kind of, I'll watch this at home at some point, put on my headphones and really just get immersed in it and see if it's that much more intense for me. So, yeah, that would be interesting to see. In a Violent Nature is playing in theaters right now. And as I said, it is a Shudder film, co-produced, I think, with the IFC. So it'll be on Shudder, I would say, within a month, maybe a month or so at the most. You can check it out. But you know what? It's doing really well, reasonably well, all things being considered, really. So if you have a chance to go see it and you want to try a little something different in your slashers, check it out. I think Matt and I agree. You'll enjoy it. You'll get something out of it for sure. So if you've had a chance to see In a Violent Nature, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, let's talk about what's coming up next week on physical media. That's going to be June 11th. And this is getting a standard release from Arrow. There was only like a deluxe edition previously. And I went back and forth on buying it. Because I remember at the time not buying into all the hype of the film and kind of be like, yeah, okay, it's sleazy, but not quite sleazy enough, I think. So we'll see. We'll get Matt's opinion when we get back.
Can I play too? Or is it just for boys? So who's washing your Jeep this weekend, Mr. Lombardo? The senior car wash, remember?
Washing that old Jeep of mine's sort of a waste of time, don't you think?
Not at all. How about if Nicole and I do it? We're working as a team.
I'll tell you what. I'm going out to the Glades Saturday. Why don't you come over Sunday and you can wash all the mud off?
Deal. I was counting on my mom to give me a ride today, but she's not here. Surprise, surprise. So I was wondering if you could give me one. Mr. Lombardo, you really wouldn't want me to walk, would you? I mean, like, something bad might happen.
What about you, Jimbo? You need a lift?
Yeah, but I got my bike.
Hey, no problem.
Hear that semi-charmed kind of life? You know it's 1998. Mm-hmm. So we have tried to cut that out there as soon as we possibly could. We don't want to get dinged there, right? That, of course, is a clip from the seminal erotic thriller of the 90s, Wild Things, featuring Denise Richards, Neve Campbell, Matt Dillon. And I'm fairly confident that was a young Josh Lucas in that scene. Maybe not. It certainly looked like him. Well, maybe it's Corey Pendergast. Regardless, Wild Things, Matt. What are your opinion on McNaughton's thriller?
Yeah, so
it was a big deal for like our generation at the time. Denise Richards, Neve Campbell.
Yeah, so I mean, when that came out, it was still pretty rare to see, same-sex relationship or even like just sexual, activity going on the big screen in a mainstream movie. So I think that's part of it. So I think, there's a lot of horny teenage boys and, I guess horny teenage girls who are into girls that were super into that film because of that one scene. But to your point, other than that and, seeing Kevin Bacon's hog, there's not really a whole lot going on in this film, right? So I don't understand what the big love for it is, but it's, like Chris said, it's a bit of a cultural touchstone in the movie, maybe a cultural footnote in the 90s movie pantheon.
There you go. Yeah. It's kind of like a lesser version, kind of teen Basic Instinct
Right.
type of thing. That it was kind of that cultural zeitgeisty type of thing for a while there. So you can get that in 4K in a standard edition if you don't want to spend like $50 from Arrow this upcoming Tuesday. What else is coming up, Matt? Oh, that's right. I forgot. We got a countdown, don't we?
Number 5.
Godzilla and Kong, The New Empire, Matt. You can get a steelbook if you buy it from Walmart. And there's also a box set, too, of all of these new Godzilla, Kong, MonsterVerse films in one convenient set. Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, and a whole bunch of making of featurettes and interviews as well. This has got to be the right price for me to pick this up. I'm talking like $8 4K on Black Friday, is what I'm thinking. Because out of all those films, I don't know if I'll be revisiting that one anytime soon.
Even at $8, I would think long and hard if it's really something that I need.
I mean, it's listen. If you like your Godzilla goofy, you're gonna enjoy it. I think no. And even then, Godzilla's barely in it, unfortunately. So,
4.
film that I wanted us to check out at some point, I have not. I think it's on Shudder now, but Stop Motion is being released on Blu-ray. It's about a young woman named Ella Blake. She's a stop-motion animator struggling to control her demons, Matt. After the loss of her overbearing mother, she embarks upon the creation of a film that becomes a battleground for her sanity. As Ella's mind starts to fracture, the character and her projects take on a life of their own. Really creepy poster if you haven't seen it for stop motion. So you can go check that out, but I do want to see that film at some point.
Can you hit it from there?
I got 3 shots. That's enough.
Can't argue with a confident man.
So Rainer Werner Fassbender's final film, Querelle, is being released by Criterion. Includes a restored high-definition master approved by the director of photography, a new interview with critic Michael Koreski on Fassbender's aesthetics and visual storytelling, and then a 1982 documentary on him called Last Works. I have never seen Querelle. I've heard good things about it, though. Maybe it'll pop up on the Criterion channel. We'll have to see. And then what are we at? Number 2? We at 2 already? Look at that.
That's a number 2.
La Femme Nikita, Matt, is being released in 4K. Luc Besson's blowing up into the cinematic world. It's going to be a 4K steelbook from this. It's a restoration from the original camera negative. And you get a Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the film. I'd be open to owning this, but I don't know if I care enough to shell out like 40-something bucks for a steelbook. What about you?
Yeah, you know what? I don't think I've ever seen La Femme Nikita in its entirety.
Fair enough. This could be your big chance, Matt. And then, I know this one you're going to be picking up.
There can be only one.
Immaculate is being released on Blu-ray. Sydney Sweeney, who is the nun that, like we talked about the other week, you do not want to go to Italy. She is takes part unknowingly to her and some, I don't even want to tell you. It's a fairly rote, unengaging kind of thriller for the first 2/3 of the film that goes absolutely off the rails for the final third and makes everything worth it. So maybe you'll want to rent it, stream it, I don't know. But I think it's worth it, at least checking out because of that bonkers ending that Matt and I both really appreciated. Currently no plans for 4K here, but there is a 4K import available. I believe a Diabolic DVD has it actually right now. You can get it, so I was eyeing that. From what I understand, too, I saw the rounds on Twitter. I don't know if it's people's TV settings, but I've heard it's not. That the streaming version of the film is much darker and the compression is really bad. So if you do want to see Immaculate, you may want to pick up a physical copy. That would probably be the best thing to do at this point. Other 4K releases, Matt. Mute Witness is getting a 4K and a Blu-ray release. 4K restoration on that one, a couple brand new audio commentaries, and more. All Shrek films being released in 4K in a box set. You can get Species 2 from Scream Factory in 4K. And then we did talk about that Wild Things. So I'm going to go with a Viper video pick of the week, Matt. It's a lot of people love this film. It is such a diversion from the original that I've always struggled with it, though I enjoy it for what it is. And that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. The 4K is currently available at vipervideotampa.com. And it's more of it's got some goofy parts to it. It lacks for me entirely the terror and suspense of the first film. It's more of a kind of horror roller coaster ride. Like you like those really bad carnivals that blow through town, and you go in the little horror tunnel thing. It's like one of those, but a little goofier and funnier. So you can pick that up right now at vipervideotampa.com. Matt, what should we be streaming this week?
Well, finally available for your streaming pleasure. Speaking of Godzilla, Godzilla -1, one of the best entries in the Godzilla pantheon that's out there, is available for your viewing pleasure on Netflix.
Nice. I hear it's doing really well on Netflix and on digital sales. So, I would buy a physical copy of that. I'm just waiting for that to happen. And I was eyeing, too, at Diabolic. They have Killers of the Flower Moon. I think it's an Italian 4K. Might be German. But I guess he did confirm that it is in English language. And you can turn off the subtitles. So, because I don't know if that's ever going to come out. Killers of the Flower Moon. I don't know if Apple's just going to sit on that, or maybe they'll work with Criterion at some point. And I'd like to know before I shell out like $40 for a import 4K disc for that thing. And also, too, it dropped just today when we're recording this on Tuesday. A24 has a gorgeous Blu-ray or 4K release of Levelized Bleeding available exclusively on their website. I will be picking that up. I was eyeing another film there, Reichert's Showing Up, which I have not seen. Also, too, they have some cool Zines I was checking out, so I've kept going back and forth on that. But I will be picking up Levelized Bleeding there from A24. Sorry, you're about to say something?
I forgot. So we'll move on.
Sorry about that. That's on me. All right. We're going to close out the show. I'm like tripping over myself today when I'm talking. I don't know what's going on with that. You know what it is?
What?
I haven't really spoken to anybody for an extended period of time for like a few days now. And I'm talking all at once now. Everything is just kind of rushing. That's a problem when you work at home, folks. It's you can go whole days without speaking with anybody or the missus, but she's like, all right, Chris, stop talking. Let's watch.
She's like, okay, I don't care anymore about the 4Ks that are coming out.
Exactly. So let's play a round of Who Dat. This is everybody's favorite role-playing game, and it should be fun. So let's start everything off with this.
We can't go anywhere in this.
Well, Mother says the sun's coming up in 20 minutes.
How far away from the source of transmission?
Northeast. Just under 2,000 meters.
Walking distance?
Well,
Can you give me an atmospheric?
yes. Oh. It's almost primordial. There's inert nitrogen, high concentration of carbon dioxide crystals, methane. I'm working on the trace elements.
Anything else?
Yes, there's rock, lava base. Deep cold, well below the line.
I'll volunteer to be in the first group to go out.
Yeah, that figures. You too, Lambert.
Oh, poor Lambert. That, of course, is a clip from Alien. Mm-hmm. I had watched it last week. I did not log it on my Letterboxd yet, though. I got to get on that. Was it last week or actually the week before? And I just never realized or just put it together how much I love Tom Skerritt in that film. That scene when he's like, you can walk on or something. He's like, that delivery of that laugh is just, it's so pitch perfect. And he's so put upon in that film, right? I just love Skerritt in Alien. So I'm bringing that up, Matt, because Fede Alvarez says that Romulus, which the new trailer dropped today as well. Did you watch it or no?
I did watch it, yes.
Okay, so this new Romulus trailer, his film is coming out. And he says it pulls a bit from Alien and Aliens.
Right.
And my instant reaction was, okay, sure. Like, what else would you say?
Right.
Would you say, oh, this is a little more Alien 4, like a little resurrection and a little dusting of Alien 3, you know, when everything went really wrong, and maybe a little bit of Aliens versus Predator.
Right.
Of course he's going to say Alien and Aliens, because that's what everybody, those are the touchstones. That's what everybody wants, right? So you're Fede Alvarez. Sell me on this, Matt. You're not just kind of blowing smoke up my skirt.
Well, I think I'm going back more towards the effective horror roots of the franchise. I think we're going to give you that haunted house in space feel, but with a little bit more of my trademark disturbing gore and graphic kills and things like that. I have some really creative stuff that I've worked on. And I think really more when I was saying it's a touch of Aliens as well. There are, I think, going to be more action-y type sequences, and you're going to see things that were really introduced in Aliens that, you know, from set-wise, technology-wise, that you're going to see carry forward from Aliens. So, little more capable, maybe not as hapless as they were in the original Alien, but, you know, obviously still more than they can handle.
Yeah, I think I heard the motion detector thing that the Marines had in the trailer, and I don't want to give too much away, and part of me wishes I hadn't seen this trailer because I now know exactly what the plot is.
Okay.
And I would like to have gone in a little colder than I'm going in now, unfortunately.
Sure.
But regardless, yeah, that's good. What do you think, Matt? Are you excited for a Romulus?
I mean, I like the franchise. I think the first two films are two of my favorite films ever. I mean, they're incredible. So I would like the franchise to kind of right the ship a little bit, and I think there's more that can be told there. The jury's out to see what Fede Alvarez can do, but you know what? I enjoyed that Evil Dead film. I've enjoyed some of his other films, so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yep, as long as we don't have a girl kick the hornet's nest issue, which I think is mostly studio interference from what I understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. And I got the facehuggers. Whew, they look pretty terrifying in that trailer.
Yeah, they do. And, you know, I did pick up a few other pieces of, like, things from Alien. Like, you know, I think even in the teaser trailer, one of them's walking around with a pulse rifle, like, you know, like the Marines had. So, I mean, there's guns and stuff. So, you know, we'll see.
Fair enough.
All right.
What you got?
So, you're Elle Fanning. And
sure, yeah.
You just got hired on. You're a big fan of the first run, and you have heard Chris and Matt talk about the Predator franchise and where they go from here. So you've been just signed on to the new Predator film. We don't know anything about it, but we do know it's called Badlands. So, Elle, what can you tell us about this film? When does this take place?
So, yeah, what can I tell you? So, I'm not sure if Martin Sheen and Sissy Spacek are going to make an appearance in this film. They may. I don't know. Maybe we'll force ghost him. But no, Dan Trachtenberg's coming back. So he did do Prey. So I'm very excited about that. We'll have to see where this one comes out. Now, Badlands, I don't know because I'm not allowed to talk about it. How about that? I don't know if it's going to be like based in the States again. I would hope it isn't. I would love to see them in another culture. But Elle Fanning, I don't know if that makes that reasonable or viable. What other Badlands are there outside of the U.S., Matt?
Yeah.
Is there like a well-known...
So the only thing I can think of, so obviously there's the possibility that it's cowboys, right? Because, you know, the American West is the... you know, Badlands. I do know that Elle Fanning is in a film where she plays Catherine, or in a show called where she plays Catherine the Great, you know, a Russian Tsarina. So, I mean, she can play outside of the U.S. But the only other thing I can think of is for Badlands would be Australia. I mean, you know, there's obviously the bush, the outback. I think those are kind of like...
Yeah, but see, I discount that, like also like a Vietnam. I discount that because you wouldn't go with Elle Fanning. I think you'd want to have somebody more... Especially since they did Amber Midthunder for Predator, you'd want to have somebody culturally connected to whatever place you're going to be, right? So I don't think that. That's why I think maybe your cowboys may be the issue, the idea. I don't know if I'm excited about that. I would want something as Elle. I would want something bigger, some other period in time, like. Maybe the Russian Revolution would be really interesting way to drop one in there, or I don't know. I think we've pontificated on this in the past.
Yeah, so I think so. I just did a quick Google search. So Countries that have Badlands are Canada, New Zealand, Italy, Spain, and Argentina. So Spain could be interesting, especially if it was like during Franco or something like that.
Yeah, the fascist run during that would be. I wouldn't mind a Predator taking out a whole bunch of Nazis.
Yeah,
that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, Argentina. Obviously, noted blonde Anya Taylor-Joy is Argentinian, so
Yep.
I mean, it could be hiding out Nazis or something in Argentina. I don't know.
Ooh, Predators versus Nazis does sound kind of fun to me. Yeah, we'll deal with that. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're taking out a whole bunch of Nazis, and we'll have to see if Gorlami is going to be. No, yeah, I'm just excited to be part of the franchise, since it's riding the ship with Prey, and I'm really trusting Trachtenberg to see what he does next with this film. It's an exciting opportunity for me, especially, it should be good. I'm happy to do it. I don't have much I can say. I have no idea.
All right, well, good. Well, I just hope that the lead Predator tells the hunting Predator that he wants his Nazi scalps in like a terrible, a terrible Southern accent.
That would be good. Matt, what do I want to tell you? Let's go with you're Ryan Johnson.
Of course.
The cast so far for your next Knives Out film which is called Wake Up Dead Man, which I didn't realize was a U2 song title.
I have no idea.
Is Josh O'Connor, who's just in Challengers, Kaylee Spaney, who's in Priscilla, Andrew Scott, Glenn Close, Kerry Washington, Jeremy Renner, Josh Brolin, Mila Kunis, which I found surprising, and then Daryl McCormack. So what's going on with your boy Benoit Blanc? Do you have any other big surprises for us cast-wise? Do you want to tease anything out for us? Where are we going with this next mystery?
And even though I wrote and directed the film, can you refresh my memory? What is the tagline again?
Wake up, dead man.
Interesting. So obviously we're maybe continuing with the theme of rich people behaving badly, right? So we had a family that was infighting, and then we had a bunch of influencers and Glass Onion and tech bros. I think Wake Up Dead Man, I think maybe I'm gonna put it into aristocracy, like really old money, and we're gonna have, I don't know, I don't want to give away too much, but we're gonna have it's gonna be in Ireland in a castle somewhere, and we're gonna have U2 playing for us.
Fantastic. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Thomas Hayden Church has now joined the cast as well.
I like how they're releasing like one name a day.
We got to be rounded out at this point, right? How many more people can be in this film?
You know what? He likes his ensembles.
So yeah, I'm really excited. And from what I was saying too, just dropping on Prime this week is one of my favorite films, Brick, Ryan Johnson's first film.
Nice.
So I think did they announce a 4K of that through Kino? If they have, I'll be buying it. I did buy the Blu-ray from them 2 years ago. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward. I know, Matt, you weren't as high on the last Knives Out as I was. But yeah, no, I do love me some Benoit Blanc and that just wonderfully delicious accent that he has in that film.
It is wonderful. Wonderful and realistic. All right, so your wonderkind extraordinary, although he's probably in his mid-40s at this point, Jordan Peele. The rumor is that you have met with Marvel. So, Jordan, what did you talk about?
Ooh. Boy, oh boy, what would I do? The problem with Marvel is I'm not as up on their horror stuff like DC is with the with Vertigo and all that. That's much a wider selection. So what did Marvel have? They have Werewolf by Night, right?
Which they
but they've already done something with him.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you couldn't be doing a movie with him. And is it necessarily going to be horror? I would think it'd have some kind of thriller aspect to it. Man-Wolf? J. Jonah Jameson's kid?
Maybe. Or are you going in there to maybe right the ship and punch up a Troubled Blade production?
Oh. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. because Blade can't get off the mat at all. That thing has been struggling. Where I wouldn't be surprised if Ali drops out of it at this point. It's been so long, and honestly, personally, I kind of hope he does. I'm not really jazzed about Marshall Ali playing Blade. I think he's already too old. Like, isn't he in his 50s?
Probably.
And I was really hoping for someone that could run with that role for a long time. And let me see here. How old is Marshall Ali? 50, exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, that's all right. I'm going to tell you, don't pull a Tom Holland and blow everything up, right, and reveal everything. But yes, I've been brought in to kind of fix the Blade chip. We're going to try and figure all of this out. We want to insert a little bit of humor into it, which of course I can do. And then, though, has some thought-provoking horror elements as well. None of this Blade Trinity crap. We're really going to kind of make it an unsettling but still fun and engaging experience, which is something I just do naturally at this point. So, yep, that's what it is. I am fixing Blade. Maybe I'll even come in and direct it. We'll see how much money they throw at me. We'll have to see.
Well, you know what? I know Johnny Hollywood, with the way that this summer is going as far as box office goes so far, and the lack of a Marvel film beyond Deadpool and Wolverine, I would expect that Johnny Hollywood would really love you to come in and Marvel to start releasing content again so they can get butts in the seats.
Yeah. Yeah, is there anybody assigned to that film yet? Jan Dermange. I do not know who that is. But that's who's set to direct it at the moment. Oh, I forgot Mia Goth is in this film. So he did, Lovecraft Country, which is a show I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Oh, he did Dead Set. I didn't realize that. Okay. Well, there you go. We'll have to see. Yeah, no, I would be kind of jazzed for a Peel Blade. Now, the more I think about it, man, the more I want to see that film. Holy moly. All right. What do you got for me? Oh, no, it's my turn for you.
Yeah,
this is my last one. So over at RogerEbert.com, Matt Zoller Seitz wrote a really interesting article about what it's going to take to get people back to the theaters.
Oh.
So I'm going to run your ideas past you, Mr. Seitz, and see what your thoughts are on these. So number one, reduce ticket costs. That used to be able to go, maybe drop like $5, $10. I think $10 now would be fine, but instead of like, what is it, 15? And Matt and I are both A-listers with AMC, so we pay our flat $24 or $5, whatever it is a month, right? But if you're just a casual moviegoer and you go to see like a Dolby film or something, you're paying like $20 at this point, $18 just for that one ticket.
Right.
So number one, reduce ticket costs.
Okay. So
number two.
Oh,
go ahead.
Do you want me to do one at a time, or are you going to lay them out?
Well, no, but you paused a bit, so I felt like you were waiting for me to say the other ones. But go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so So honestly, I think reducing ticket prices could work, but as you pointed out, A-List exists. There are 25% off days, like on Tuesdays with AMC. There are cheap nights, things like that. So honestly, with the kind of need for the ticket price to feed into Hollywood and to kind of keep that machine going, and that the little bit that the theaters get off of ticket sales, I don't see that as necessarily feasible. Now, I will wait to see what the second one is, but I think there are other...
It goes hand in hand, actually.
Yeah, so why don't you tell me what the second one is before I go any further with this?
Open more theaters with fewer screens and seats. So they're actually filmed like movie theater deserts right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to blow your mind. You may be aware of this because you're still there. There is no movie theater in New Haven, Connecticut.
Really? Even with Yale being there, that is wild to me. That is crazy.
Yep. The Criterion closed about a year ago. In fact, what I wanted to do, I was going to see if Matt wanted to have us both tap our 401ks. I'd move back and we'd buy it and just open it up.
Sure. That nothing can go wrong with that.
So yeah, open more theaters, fewer screens, and fewer seats.
Yeah, so that would be going back to kind of the old model, right? Where you had a local theater, it had maybe 2 or 3 screens, and I think that could really work, especially in small towns. The challenge will be this. With these new megaplexes, people start to expect a certain level of comfort, right? So they want to be able to reserve their seats. They want the reclining seats. They like the Dolby as an option. They like the IMAX as an option. So it'll be interesting to see how those could work out. But I think it would be really interesting not only to do that, but you could tailor theaters to, depending on where you are and the demographics that you have, that two types of films, essentially, right? So you could have a film with a small-ish theater with like 4 screens in it. One's a Dolby, one's an IMAX, and then 2 regular screens. And that's where you put your big blockbuster films on it. And then maybe 2 towns over, your smaller, artsier, more experimental films kind of things. And maybe you set it up with a different vibe. I think you could really tailor the experience to fit the audience of the movies you're trying to play.
Keep films in theaters longer.
Yeah, so I agree with that. Films seem to come out of the theater really fast, and honestly, as Matt on my favorite film podcast, The First Run, is often lamenting, the theater experience for a lot of people doesn't bring a lot. So if he wasn't watching these films for this show, most of the time, 8 times out of 10, he would be content to wait the 3-4 weeks for it to come out on streaming. Gone are the days from when I was a kid where you would take 6 months to a year before you could watch something at home, right? If you kind of move back to that, it could work, but honestly, the broader issue is with the theater experience. It takes too long. It's too expensive. Like you said, there's a desert. You got to drive far to get there. They never start when they say they're going to start. They start 30 minutes to 45 minutes, later after previews and all that kind of stuff. They got to change that. I don't think that would really bring any seats.
At my In a Violent Nature screening, not only did it start 30 minutes after the start time, but also people walked in 10 minutes late.
Yeah, right.
After the film had started.
Right.
You're now 40 minutes in.
Right.
How late would you be that you're thinking like, all right, well, anyway. Yeah, no, that is a bit of an issue having that much time. Where are we? I think keeping stuff in the theaters longer is a key. I think that's what's kicking Furiosa's butt. Is that people are just going to wait and watch it on Max. And I think you want to build up that anticipation. Just like the same way I think like Netflix ruined, in a certain way, the experience of television shows by doing the binge watch.
Right.
It was a neat little fun idea, but then the problem is none of their shows, I think, really blow up so much now because there's no anticipation. There's no water cooler talk. There's none of that stuff happens anymore because you can just watch all the episodes in a weekend, and then that's it. So, all right, next up, bring back this. I love this one. Bring back marquees.
So the actual physical big sign, is that what they're talking about?
So yeah, the theaters that have like, what's playing and the marquee and all that. Yeah, bring those back instead of just having maybe some posters as you walk into the building. Like you do like the lights and all that stuff, and you have the flashing lights and the now showing,
Yeah, so I mean
levelized bleeding type thing.
That's a relatively easy and inexpensive fix I don't know how much it'll drive business, but I think it's not like it's a big risk. So yeah, go for it.
I think one of the things too you point out in your great article, again, available at rogerebert.com, you should check it out, is, and maybe I should link it in the show notes, is what I should do, is that there was a time when, it certainly was the case for me, Matt, when I was younger, I don't know about you, when you would go to the movies not knowing what you were going to see.
Right.
Like you'd say, hey, let's go see a movie. And then you'd head down and see what was playing.
Sure.
And then, okay, well, this is showing like in a half hour. Let's go grab a slice of pizza and we'll come back type of a thing. Right? That doesn't happen anymore. And people don't plan like, hey, let's just go check out a movie. It's all kind of, and there's part of that, I think, where the marquees could help amplify that.
Sure.
Like you're driving by or something, All right, where are we? Here's the last one. Here's another big one, too. And I think this is going to go right into your wheelhouse a bit. Improve projection, sound, and return to the in-theater etiquette requirements.
Yes, because honestly, other than supporting the films themselves, there's very little reason to go to the theater. The Dolby, the picture's great, the sound is great, but like I said, I mean, overall, 9 times out of 10, unless you're watching a Furiosa, unless you're watching, a Marvel film. And you know what? If you have an expensive OLED TV, you can probably get a picture better than what the Dolby puts on there if you've got it in 4K. So the challenge is, part of what makes the movie experience going great is, one, you can't get it anywhere else. So if you want to see it, that's where you got to go. But and again, it's also watching it with people, right? So when you're watching a comedy, when the whole theater is laughing, that really kind of elevates the experience for you. When you're watching a horror movie and there's gasps and you can kind of feel that tension, that's part of it. So I don't know how we get back to that, but yes, improving the overall theater experience would go a hell of a long way. And honestly, I don't think it's the way, like changing the process, like, having dinner or having a server come and bring you stuff, things like that. I think getting back to old school, beyond being able to reserve your seat, because that is awesome, is the way to go, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And AMC tried the zone price. Their screenings for a while too. This is independent of if you were an A-lister or not. You would actually have to pay more if you wanted a seat kind of in the center of the theater.
Sure.
Thankfully, they did away with that. But yeah, no, my biggest complaint, I mean, I gave up on masking years ago, even though it still drives me crazy. Back when I ran a theater in Torrington, we did that. We adjusted the curtains in the side, so all you saw was the image instead of the screen just having black on it. But the etiquette alone, people on their phones, people showing up late, walking around, it's just, I think that's one of the biggest drivers of keeping people out of the theaters, is just the experience is just not as good as it used to be. Neither is the projection or the sound sometimes too. It's really disappointing a lot. So, but I still go because I still love the experience. Unlike, Matt can kind of take it or leave it. But for me, it still has that magical property. Probably 4 or 5 times a year, I'll just sit in a theater and it reminds me of like what it was like to be a kid for the first time all over again, and I get totally transported, like legit Nicole Kidman in the AMC opening things. Like it gets to that level for me. So so those are your options there, your suggestions.
Yeah, I mean, and to be frank, I mean, it's not that the things that, like I said, the issue with film for me, or going to the film movies, is I'm in a bit of a desert. There's not one in my town. I live in a tiny little town, right? So I got to drive 30 minutes, maybe 45 with traffic. It starts a half hour, sit through half hour previews and commercials, and you end up, I'm a busy guy. I got stuff to do, man. It's like, it takes a long time. So like, unless it's something that's like, you have to see it on the screen, I like The Favorite, but I probably would have just enjoyed it just as much if I was watching it at home, kind of thing.
So send your thank yous to feedback@thefirstrun.com for Matt to keep going out there every week, even though we'd much rather be home.
Sure,
so thank you for that.
Yeah, no.
Now I have the convenience that I have like 3 theaters within a 20-minute drive of me, 2 AMCs and then an art house.
Right.
So I'm pretty fortunate where I am. Of course, I'm in a big city.
Yeah, you are. You're in a big up and coming metropolis, right?
That's it.
Until it disappears into the Gulf. Anyway, so to wrap this up, you're Nikki Netflix. Like my alliteration there, as opposed to Johnny Hollywood. You're Nikki Netflix. You have bought some just absolutely terrible films. This latest one with Jennifer Lopez, Atlas, is getting just atrocious reviews. That it is one of just an embarrassment of a film, but it is doing gangbusters on your service. How are you doing this? What are you going to keep buying just these terrible movies just to throw them out there? Are you literally just waiting in line for films to be shelved so you can reach in and snap them up? And are you?
Yeah, I mean that's part of it. Get some stuff off the cheap, and that's a big part of it. Also, I don't believe we're totally disclosing all of our numbers at 100%.
Sure.
So like maybe we'll count like if you just hit the start button on it and it plays for a second, that counts as a view. Maybe I don't. But no, this is our business model. We got to pay for content, and if we got to get some stuff on the cheap, just to have that we have more content, then that's what we're going to do. So,
is it actually doing anything for you?
Well, it's keeping our bottom line afloat. We're doing reasonably well-ish. Right? We have almost 270 million users as of April 18th, Matt. So that's pretty damn good. That's at what, 10, we'll say $10 a month? How much is Netflix right now?
I want to say it's like 12, 14, something like that.
God, you know, I do my finances every damn month and we track everything too. You'd think I would know. But sure, that's fine. And that's a lot of money coming. We're kicking out a lot out the door though. And I think part of the issue is that we focus on stars and content. Unfortunately, not always quality, but we do grab some quality once in a while to kind of give us some air of respectability. We'll do a Scorsese film, right? We'll do a Inarritu film, just so you can remind you, hey, we can do the good stuff. We got a Linklater film coming up next week that I understand you guys are going to be reviewing as well for the show. That's getting a lot of positive buzz as well. But it's a tough balance, Matt, of content and artistic experience. And for the most part, your average Netflix owner really just cares about content and watching like episodes of Seinfeld.
Right.
And we got to pay out the wazoo for Seinfeld. So we got to, buy some stuff off the cheap once in a while.
Fair enough. Well, I'm sure all of these shelved films thank you for letting them see the light of day.
You're welcome. You're very welcome indeed. I wish they could get their hands on some other stuff, though, like the Batgirl film.
I heard that was destroyed.
Did you hear too? Yeah. I hear Max is going up to like, I think $18 a month from like 16 or 17. They're going up another buck. And it's inferior now as a service. It's not as good as it was.
Really? I haven't even looked at Max in forever because I don't have it. But my parents have it. So like, I'll look at it to see what's on there. But most of honestly, I have sat down and just thought, okay, because most of the time I just get inertia, right? So like, we had, when we bought my daughter her new phone, we got X amount of months free of Apple Plus, and then like, the subscription kicks in, and it's like $5 a month initially, and it's like, okay, can I not really afford $5 a month? But then it just starts creeping up, and at the end of the day, when you take each of those as a little piece, they're not that much, right? But when you take them all collectively, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah, that's entirely right. And I don't pay for my Max too.
Yeah.
Like if it's part of my phone plan that I bought into with my DirecTV years ago. Yeah. So, long-time listeners know I basically have HBO free for life.
Didn't they say they were going to take away for life, and you were really upset about that?
It was unclear.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
There were changes potentially in the works. Nothing has changed for me as of yet.
Okay.
So far I'm good. But the Max redesign, they did last year, early. I can't remember when it was. The hubs are kind of harder to find. You got to scroll around a lot more than you used to have to. It still has the TCM stuff, the Turner Classic Movie, so I'm very happy about that. But it's not great. I basically watched it for like last week tonight, and then there's a puppy documentary out of the UK I watch. And Hacks is back. I got to watch season 3 of Hacks. Okay. That's actually a really good show.
Right.
So that's good. Is that it? We good?
Yeah, we're good. That's it. That's Who Dat.
That's Who Dat for this week. Who would you like us to be next time we do a round of this game? Shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com. I think next time I'll have Matt be Kevin Spacey or somebody. That might be kind of fun.
Awesome. Thank you. I look forward to that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So you can check us out at I'm getting ahead of myself, Matt. What's coming up next week for the big show? I may have spoiled it a little bit.
Yeah, so we've got 2 films. We're back to 2 films, so this must mean that
no, we're not. I don't think
we're not. Okay, so we're gonna check out. It looks like Hitman, and the kind of film was Watchers. I admit I'm kind of intrigued to watch that, so maybe we'll catch up with it eventually.
Oh, it's up to you. I mean, I'm happy to go. I just know if you could stay home, you'd much rather do that. It's Shyamalan's daughter's first film, I believe.
Right, yeah.
So I am kind of curious to see it, and the trailer looked interesting, but I know that Hitman, Linklater's latest film, that was the darling of, what was it? Last year's con? Was this? I can't remember, but it was the film. It blew up all the film festivals. Sure. Everybody loved it.
Sure.
So we'll be doing that for sure. And then who knows? Maybe if we do go to the theaters, we'll do Watchers as well. In the meantime, check us out at thefirstrun.com. You can find archives of all the old shows, the report card, and more. Head on over to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Do a search for The First Run. Scroll. Eventually you will find us. Head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a review. It'd help other people find the show as well. Screen Run, the next episode, Matt, drops Monday, which is we'll be talking about the third Body Snatchers film, which is, I believe, is the episode that you guessed on.
It is. That is my episode. So buckle up, guys. It's gonna get fun. It's the best one.
Yeah.
Although I have listened to your first 2 episodes and I enjoyed them so far. But I always do.
I appreciate that.
I always do.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is Abel Ferreira's Body Snatchers with Gabriel Anwar. So it's a good conversation for sure. We had a lot of fun with Matt with that one. And I guess that's it. Is that it? That'll be it. So we're going to go ahead, take an extended break. We love you all very much. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you soon.
Susie, you need a lift? We got room for one more.
Jesus. Where'd she get those shoes? Whores for less?